Here's a little test if you're fluent in libtard. When the government says something is going to be free, what does that mean? That means that you, the productive class, are going to get taxed into oblivion so that a bunch of loafers and a bunch of communist parasites, probably from the third world, like right here, can come in and take from you and then give out to the worst people in society. You pay extraordinary prices for homes and groceries, while these people have all of it. So they don't ever have to pay for food. They don't ever have to worry about where they're going to live. They got Section 8, they got EBT, and they got welfare. You literally can't pay medical bills. They get it for free because they just sign up for Medicaid. And it's, of course, a system that can't last, but it's going to be driven directly into the ground after watching what's happening in New York a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. It's going to be completely insolvent. And so the city of New York, as Mamdani announced plans last week to open up city-run, taxpayer-funded grocery stores. And what is this going to do exactly? These grocery stores are going to put regular grocery stores in New York out of business. They're going to steal money from the public treasury in order to get a political victory for Mamdani. It's going to be short-lived because all the grocery stores and bodegas, they're all going to die. Everyone's going to run in for their free government-subsidized cheese here, and you're just going to put all private grocery stores out of business. What could possibly go wrong? This is completely insane. It's not possible unless taxpayers are subsidizing all the groceries. Grocery store profits are teeny anyway, a few percentage points a year. At best, say goodbye to your local bodega. The government-subsidized grocery store will, of course, be the only game in town. And that's the point, right? We're going to control all the grocery stores. If we control all the grocery stores, and we already control the ability to tax you and kill you if you don't pay taxes, right? We have a total monopoly on violence. Then you can't eat. You can't live. You can't move. We control everything in your life. That's communism. He's going to undercut bodegas and put them all out of business. Remember, they don't care that socialism doesn't work. They're foreign invaders who care about looting American ideology. It's all smoke screen. If you don't know how this ends, well, you don't have the slightest understanding of economics. And you can just see in Missouri, for instance, communist-run Missouri, there is a place called Kansas City run by a bunch of libtards. And they took over something called the Sun Fresh Market because there was so much crime going on here. There's so much thieving. Don't ever ask who was doing the looting and the thieving of this grocery store in a predominantly black neighborhood. And what ended up happening? Well, the city bought the store, and then it went out of business. Kansas City's city-owned grocery store shut down after burning through $29 million in subsidies. Okay. So everyone's like, I'm so sad that it's out of business. Well, why? Can you explain? Why did it go out of business? Went out of business because nobody's going to be able to crime that hard on the groceries and just openly steal everything. You're never going to be able to make a profit. $30 million invested in Kansas City. How much is New York going to spend? Look at this asshat. Look at this guy. Dead eyes. Dead eyes. The honeymoon is over, man. Anyway, Mamdani sitting there holding your bananas for you. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, it just got great. It just got so good in New York. How will Mamdani stop people from New Jersey or Connecticut or other people like tourists, there's a lot of those in New York, from coming in and taking advantage of the taxpayer-funded subsidies that are propping up the groceries? How's it going to do that? Well, he's going to enact voter ID. New York City that doesn't have voter ID, okay, so anyone can vote in their elections because they got that game rigged, is going to put up an ID check to make sure that your grocery stores don't get looted by people who aren't from there. It's incredible. Socialist ringleader Mamdani requires a photo ID for New Yorkers to shop at his government-run grocery store. To prove New Yorkers are buying food from socialist grocery stores, Mamdani is requiring proof of
on the number of items that someone can take that are discounted at that level from that essential basket. So our RFP makes very clear that this is a program for New Yorkers to be able to put food on the table, not a program for people to be able to make a quick buck through reselling. I'm going to pass it over to our EDC head, G-Pack, to add some additional details.
Yes, if you look at our RFP for the operator, we are looking to make sure that we target New Yorkers, whether it be at sort of a library card-esque thing, and also we manage who's buying, and that is focused on everyday New Yorkers. So we are mindful of that, and so we're going to make sure that we have all the things in place to ensure that that does not happen.
How are you going to keep people from taking advantage of that, that deal basically? And is there going to be a limit on the number of items that someone can take that are discounted at that level from that essential basket?
So our RFP makes very.
We're going to need to see some ID. Oh, the irony is too much, says Elon Musk. For your 30% off bananas, we're going to need to see some ID for that. But for your vote, we need absolutely nothing. Nothing. Racist communist Mamdani is going to make you show an ID for his socialist markets. If you want government subsidized arugula, show your papers. Ask for an ID to vote, you're a bigot. Starting to realize what a disingenuous lying buffoon these communists are. You know what's going to happen? They're not going to be able to enforce this. They're not going to be able to do it. You're going to need the SAVE Act for grocery stores in New York. And you're going to have resale. I was just in New York. The entire sidewalks were littered with weed and piss and bums and people reselling stuff. All across the sidewalks, there were people that were selling rip-off bags and merchandise and stolen items, like thieving CVS's and Walgreens, and then they sell the stuff on the street, right? And nobody arrests them. And so people are going to go in and they're going to resell all of the groceries. They're going to just either buy them or steal them and then resell them. So you need a valid ID to shop at Mamdani's government grocery stores to make sure the system isn't taken advantage of. The same people that love the idea also scream racism if you say you need an ID to vote. Hypocrites, man. Either you should be for no ID or ID for both. If you are split, then you are a fraud. Correct. Dave Portnoy says he's going to run for mayor of New York. We'll see. We're looking to make sure how we can target New Yorkers, a library card-esque sort of thing. Communists want to require an ID to buy food, but not to vote. And we marvel at the inconsistency. It makes perfect sense in their bubble. It's control. They gain control with no IDs and then enforce control by restricting food. It's exactly Jim Crow 2.0. How can Mamdani expect blacks to have IDs? Look, there's a black woman behind Zoran Mamdani. Her glasses are all fogged up too. Very spicy in there. SAVE Act, but for grocery stores. Hey, making my jokes. Turns out they're going to impose ID card systems on the government grocery stores. Just like when I had to use my national ID to buy food in Venezuela. They told me what I could buy and how much. Thank you, Leader Mamdani. Mamdani grocery stores will require ID. Voter booths will not require ID. LMAO. No way. No groceries for poor black people then. Just a reminder that Mamdani got mocked online for his ID requirements for snow shoveling. Faced backlash for saying that identification was needed for emergency snow shoveling programs. And now Mamdani has some real problems with the votes that he got. Election auditor says 200,000 votes cast in New York City mayor election are suspicious. What does that mean exactly? Sure. Let's go ahead and read. Election auditor says mayor votes are suspicious. A reminder that Mamdani won by 200,000 votes. Uh-oh. Evidence suggests there were tens of thousands of fraudulent votes cast in New York City's mayor election, then brought forward by an election integrity activist who claims that the margin of victory, socialist Mamdani won below number of votes, bears question. Okay. Real America's Vote, U.S. Citizens Audit released a report claiming that there was a large number of non-existent, unqualified voters in New York City's mayoral election. No shock there. In an interview on the program, I actually don't know whether Mamdani won the mayoral's race. I'm not here to say that he didn't, but after looking at around 1 million votes cast in the election, it found 7% were from non-existent records. 6% fell into the range of Social Security numbers that they claim are not possible, and 10% do not live in New York, and 1% have no Social Security numbers. So out of 2.2 million voters, we studied the million of them, and we found that the votes were illegal more than the margin of victory. Oh my. We'll have to follow up on that one, ladies and gentlemen. There's your dripping irony of the day.